Dark and Darker removed. Yep. It sucks. Well, I don't really want to talk about Dark and Darker, but I want to find out about it and know more details. I don't know if those are public. If it's as vague as DMCA takedown, okay, what is like involved in that? Oh, Moist Critical did a video on it. Of course.
There's no shortage of.
Like, I just don't know. I'm just gonna listen.
There's one that's
He's probably done research.
Under the radar for way too long now, even though it's just as slimy and scummy as some of the more mainstream ones people like to spit on, and that's Nexon. You've probably heard of them because of Maple Story. That's by far their biggest game, their magnum opus, the cash cow that they're addicted to milking. And for a long time now, they've been able to tiptoe around in the shadows, hiding their stink from the public nostrils. Last month, they flew a little too close to the sun, and we could start to smell their odor. And I swear to God, it smelled like shit. About a month ago, they decided to start bullying a smaller developer named Iron Mace, who's working on a game that I am a massive fan of called Dark and Darker. I played every playtest so far, and I have been absolutely loving it. But love is a concept that doesn't exist at Nexon. Only cold, hard dollar bills that they were missing out on. They're like the Mr. Krabs of video games. So they started to put Iron Mace in their crosshairs, claiming that the Dark and Darker developers stole from Nexon. They said that not only did they steal code from an unreleased project at Nexon called P3, they stole assets from that project. And basically the claims boiled down to there was an employee at Nexon back in 2021 who was working on a project called P3 that is similar to Dark and Darker. That employee apparently was talking about like leaving and starting their own.
I tuned out. There's a lot of like shitting on Nexon for brownie points, and I just tuned out. I need to just hear like the facts.
Nexon back in 2021.
And he started talking about something important here.
Project at Nexon called P3. They stole assets from that project. And basically the claims boiled down to there was an employee at Nexon back in 2021 who was working on a project called P3 that is similar to Dark and Darker. That employee apparently was talking about like leaving and starting their own company, kind of expanding upon this P3 idea. He ended up being fired, and then, you know, fast forward to late 2022, we have Dark and Darker, which bears some resemblance to that P3 project. So Nexon is claiming that they stole from them, citing assets and code that was ripped directly from that unreleased project, as well as idea theft, saying that this was a Nexon idea, and thus they don't really have the right to use it. Which is why that title is You Can't Copyright a Game Genre, because this is an extraction-style game. It's a genre that's well established. The only spin on it is, instead of being guns like Tarkov, it's medieval weaponry, and it fucking bangs. This shit fucks. It is amazing.
Yeah.
I love Dark and Darker.
I agree.
And unfortunately now, Nexon has gone so far as to issue a police raid on their studio headquarters, and as I understand it, they didn't find anything there. They reassured fans that it was quick and nothing was found, and there will be no delay in development and nothing to worry about. So I'm guessing they went there and got a giant fucking nothing sandwich served to them. There was, I suppose, no stolen code, no...
I bet it was like 3 police officers walked in, and then it just made a good like news post, and nothing actually happened, right? Okay.
Hidden secret documents from Nexon, no Krabby Patty secret formula, but that's not where this story stops. In fact, today, this is why we're talking about it, today, Nexon has once again escalated this conflict and issued a full-blown cease and desist to Dark and Darker, which has led to it being pulled from Steam. So effectively shut down for the time being, all based on these claims that it was stolen from them. Of course, Iron Mace denies all the allegations, saying that Dark and Darker's code was built from scratch and its assets were either purchased from the Unreal Marketplace or designed internally. And if you've played Dark and Darker, you're going to notice like half of the assets in this game come from the Unreal Marketplace. I play a lot of shit on Steam new releases.
Same.
And I can recognize half of the models in Dark and Darker from all of the other games I've played.
Yep.
And that's not a problem. The assets are there for a reason. Plus, it's still like in very early playtesting stages, so of course they're going to be using assets. I don't know what fucking assets they're even claiming are stolen from Nexon, unless Nexon like has some kind of monopoly on the Unreal Marketplace where it's all their assets. They're like the kingpin and their drug empire is the Unreal Marketplace. It just doesn't make any sense because, again, half, or even maybe more than half, of Dark and Darker uses just standard store-bought Unreal assets. So to me, the claim is extremely confusing. Like, I don't even...
Okay, so Now I'm understanding. At the very beginning, like the 1:15-minute mark, it's where it happened. There's a guy that used to work at Nexon, had an idea, got fired from Nexon, made a game. I mean, this blows. So the next thing, I don't know, maybe if he talks about in his video, is like, what happens next, right? So clearly this is a lot of, well, this is annoying. I'm obviously biased. I want Dark and Dark. I think most people want Dark and Darker to just come out. I don't give a fuck about any of this other shit. Just, I want the game. I don't care who makes it. I don't care. As long as the game's good. But I see a lot of people saying things like Iron Mace is fucked because Nexon has too much money. And it's like, even if Nexon is wrong in this, it's going to drown them. They're just going to get bullied and fucked. I see a lot of that. I see a lot of people saying, this is all bullshit, it'll blow over, everything will be fine. I mean, I don't know what's actually going to happen. I don't know how this stuff works. I mean, it probably means, I mean, realistically, the next play test is, right? Do a GoFundMe. Okay. I don't know. Asmon should do that, if anyone. But even then, it's like, God, how much money would you need for a situation like this? I would guess tens of millions. Am I crazy? I don't know. It's not just money, it's time. Well, that's what money can buy, is time from other people. But also, you're right. Now these guys can't work. Time of the people working on the game is now probably fucked, which sucks ass as well. All right, let me see if he goes over anything else in this video.
Extremely confusing. Like, I don't even feel like Phoenix Wright could make an argument that some of these assets are stolen from Nexon's unreleased P3 project, because again, so much of Dark and Darker is Unreal assets. Like, I can't imagine them being like, oh my god.
You know what? What exactly are they saying is stolen? It's not the Unity assets. There's got to be something that has, like, there's some justification to it, right? And it's not realistic in my opinion, but like maybe like a guy had an idea while he was working at Nexon and then he got fired. And is it the idea, the concept, right? Like, sure, I get that. Should it hold up in court? No, but I get it. The code, I don't make games, so I don't know. The code too, I don't know what that means. I guess like, I don't know what that means. Not just idea. They worked on a similar project. I mean, sure. I also heard that like players in Korea are supporting Nexon in this. I just read that like maybe a couple of times on Reddit posts. Is that how like the gaming community in Korea is reacting to this? Which is kind of like, I want to pick their brain. How are they supporting them? I mean, then again, it's like over in Korea, I think they're a lot more supportive of like pay to win type stuff just in general. So they have a much different mindset. But despite that, I just find this very, I don't know. Where'd you hear that from? Reddit comments. That's why I didn't say it so confidently, saying, like, going in. Point. I just read Reddit comments saying, the player base in Korea actually supports it. Maybe that person just saw one guy in Korea support Nexon and was like, all Koreans, you know? Like, I don't know. Some shit like that. I don't know.
That rock that's in the middle of that prison cell is actually from P3. I'd recognize it anywhere. That is a distinct rock that was developed in-house at Nexon. It's our pride and joy. Oh my god, and that chalice that players can collect. That golden goblet of...
All right. We're making funnies right now.
It claims that some of these assets were stolen because so much is from fucking Unreal assets. But regardless, moving forward... Iron Mace developers have, of course, made a statement about this whole thing. They've said, to all our fans, we have recently been served a cease and desist letter and DMC takedown by Nexon regarding Dark and Darker based on distorted claims. We are currently working with our legal team to remedy this issue in the best manner possible. Due to the sensitive legal nature of this issue, we must be careful with our statements so as to not jeopardize our position. We ask for your understanding as we work to get the game back up as quickly as possible. Please know that we will do all that is possible for our fans. Thanks. A very sweet message. Throughout this entire discourse, Iron Mace has seemed extremely professional. But I just want to point that out. They have seemed like absolute sweethearts here in the face of bullshit. This, to me, I'll break this down and give my whole perspective on this after researching all of it. This, to me, feels like Nexon bullying a smaller company because they feel like they've missed out on a golden goose here, because Dark and Darker has become extremely popular, and they did have an idea that was similar to it called P3. P3 never got off the ground, Dark and Darker did. This really feels like it's almost some level of vengeance and spite against Dark and Darker's success. Nexon has hundreds and millions of dollars they can throw into the shitter at this and completely bleed Iron Mace dry, since they are a smaller company and they're going to fight this legal battle tooth and nail, it seems, which is extremely upsetting considering these claims aren't 100% proven to be accurate anyway. In fact, at least according to Police Raid, they didn't even find any evidence to support the claims, but yet they've still managed to DMCA cease and desist this game and get it removed from Steam. And now Iron Mace is going to have to engage in a lengthy and very expensive...
I'm thinking about it. What evidence would they find? They can't... If it's the idea and the code, well, what are they going to do about the idea? And if it's the code, are you sending officers to, like, fucking check the code? We've got it right here. Concept arts? I guess maybe messages? Maybe they got... Yeah, we've got a message right here. Hey, we stole this from Nexon. Yep, we've got the message. Here it is. Like, I don't... Okay. I don't know. This is annoying.
Legal battle with this absolute titan of douchebaggery. Nexon is just an absolute
they check the files,
company, and
hashes.
Even if every single one of their claims is accurate, 100% truthful, they're still a horrible, garbage piece of shit company regardless. Even from everything outside of Dark and Darker, even before this, they've been a terrible company. But this especially. And I'll go a step further. Maybe we're getting into dicey, spicy territory here, but I'm just gonna say it with my whole chest. If all of Nexon's claims are accurate, Dark and Darker did take that idea from Nexon and build upon it, and even if they used a couple of assets that they developed while working at Nexon, I don't give a fuck. In fact, I view them more as heroes. I respect them more if they did that. Because Nexon can suck the dirtiest part of my asshole. I cannot stand that company. I think that would be great if that really was the case. I don't think the Nexon Corporation should have the legal right to have a stranglehold on a video game idea that they didn't even make themselves. This idea was cooked up by the creative minds that were let go from Nexon in the first place. Thus, since they're no longer at Nexon, I feel they should be able to explore that idea and build upon it privately in their own way at their own studio, even though that idea was something they may have had while working elsewhere. They are no longer working there. That company is no longer working on that project. Thus, the team that actually made the idea and the prototypes should be able to take that work and build upon it on their own. I don't know if that's a hot take, but again, assuming every claim from Nexon is accurate, even still, it makes it clear that the idea and the work was done by employees that were let go from Nexon. Thus, it shouldn't be their idea anymore, Nexon's idea. It should be the individual's idea who actually came up with it in the first place. Thus, I feel like they should have the right to continue to work on it if they choose to. But again, it's important to reiterate that as of right now, there's still no real hard evidence against Iron Mace.
Huh. What a dumb take. He hasn't worked for a real company ever. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how any of this plays out. I mean, company politics are annoying and bullshit. I agree. And I don't know how this will play out in court. He says, I don't give a f, but court's going to give a f. And then the game's just not going to release. And I mean, here's the thing. It's like, what is Nexon's end goal here? I'm trying to see, like, best case scenario for them. Let's say everything gets okay, the game's dead. I guess then they start working on P3, right? I guess that makes sense. Maybe they try and buy Dark and Darker. Oh my god. Oh, that would be such a tainted game. I'd want to play it, but I'd also not want to play it at the same time. It'd be ruined. They just want to steal the IP. Yeah, I guess. I mean, this sucks. Next playtest is canceled. I was actually really looking forward to that. That changes like my entire month. Sigh.